Ohio State, y'all getting on my nerves now. You're getting on my nerves as a Georgia fan. Y'all getting on my nerves, man. You're getting on my nerves. But shout out to Ohio State for putting together some pretty good draft classes over the last couple of years. We're gonna speak more so today about, and we're gonna watch a video as well in a second. But we're gonna speak more today about what happens if Ohio State flips David Sanders Jr. from Tennessee to Ohio State. If Ohio State pulls this off, I'm gonna lose my you know what, because y'all got listen, Ohio State, y'all got the best roster in all of college football, arguably at least one or two. You and Oregon, y'all 1 and 2 with best roster in all of college football. Y'all probably spending the most money in all of college football as well. But can some other people have some prospects, please? So we're gonna check out this video on David Sanders Jr.'s potentially flipping from Tennessee to the Vols, from Tennessee to Ohio State, I should say.
What's going on with David Sanders? Tennessee's prized offensive tackle commit took a surprise visit to Ohio State last weekend. We're going to get an update today from Matt Ray of VolQuest, and we're also going to talk about a couple more big fish that are still out there that Tennessee is hoping to land between now and early signing day.
And look, I'll say this. David Sanders Jr., when I evaluated his film, I think I evaluated his junior year. I haven't did the senior year yet. If a senior year tape is out, he scored pretty well. He wasn't the highest on my board. He wasn't the lowest, but he was a very, very balanced prospect. Both run and pass, had good intangibles, great intangibles. At 6'5", 6'6", 270, 280, 290. Very lean kid, very fluent kid, very athletic kid. Reminds me a little bit of Seaton from last year, but I think he's a little bit more flexible, a little bit more fluent. I think Seaton plays with a lot more power than David Sanders Jr., but I think David Sanders Jr. will be a good pickup wherever he goes. But if they compare Tavian St. Clair and David Sanders in the same class, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a huge freaking problem for somebody. For the Big Ten, that's going to be a huge problem. Talking about securing the best, talking about securing your future, that's going to be a problem, man, for sure. Definitely going to be a problem, 100%.
Which is just 1 week away. We're going to get all into it. But first, Tennessee fans, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube, the On3.
Second best. You know, your boy old coach coming for you. They coming. We coming. Like somebody said. Somebody said
Recruits channel. All right, let's bring in Matt Ray from VolQuest. Now, of course, we're going to talk David Sanders and this late push from Ohio State. Right now, what is the level of concern on the Tennessee side of things?
Well, Josh, I mean, you're 10 days away from signing day, right? And David Sanders shows up at Ohio State. So obviously there's a level of concern there. When your crown jewel of your, top 10 ranked recruiting class shows up, at pretty much the runner-up right in there if you want to split hairs between them and Nebraska the first time around. But essentially the runner-up, the first time in his recruitment. And you've continued to have David Sanders back to campus in August, September, October. You have a level of concern there just in the fact that, we're 2 weeks out and he's taking another look and trying to check some final boxes, it appears, to a program that he's built a strong rapport with.
Hey, but that money, man, that money talking. That money gonna always talk. That BS gonna walk 1,000 miles, man. It's a different era, man. It's a different level of recruitment, man. It's different. They different out here, man. It ain't about what I wanted to play as a kid. It ain't about keeping Georgia strong. It ain't about, I think he's from North Carolina, keeping North Carolina, staying home and playing for North. It's about where can I get the most exposure. So, it's always about getting to the NFL. Yeah, you want to make all the money you can while you're in college, but ultimately, every person that ever laces it up, every man that ever wants to play this game wants to play it at the highest level and be the best person at the highest level. So it's always about how do I get to the NFL, and now how can I make the most money on the way to the NFL? So when a lot of these kids end up I'm gonna say men because these are men. When a lot of these men end up flipping and going to other programs, generally it's about that money. It's definitely about that money.
So That leads me to my question. With the early signing day moved up a couple weeks, is there anything Tennessee can do right now to play a little defense? Because normally, there's those in-home visits. You got a couple visit weekends after the season even ends. So what can Tennessee do?
Yeah, I think for Tennessee, this is just continuing to try to reassure the Sanders, answer the concerns that they have and what they're looking at. Because again, you're right. You don't have those in-home visits. You don't have the chance to get back out and get FaceTime with them in this cycle, but you do have in your corner that David Sanders picked you over Ohio State and Nebraska.
Yeah, they love playing this clip from David Sanders. This is like the number one clip they play for David Sanders
the first time around. So obviously there's been a comfort level there with him in Knoxville for a long time. This was a process that the family really dove into, went in depth in, and
David Sanders actually has a lot more or better plays deeper in his highlight tape. Y'all would just watch past like the first 5 plays. You will see that he got better plays in there. So
he felt like, basically 3 months ago, a little over, that Tennessee was the best choice for him. And everybody obviously watched that commitment from Providence Day and how heartfelt it was to him and his family. So I think you've got to try to rely on those things and work around, what some of their concerns are. And, that's pretty much all you can do at this point. There's really not another way to play defense. I think the biggest thing now kind of moving forward with David Sanders is there's not a lot of answers in this, recruiting process wherever you look with him right now. But does he show back up at Ohio State this weekend? Is he back on campus for the Michigan game? Because if he is, then obviously if you're Tennessee, that level of concern raises even more.
Hey, listen, if Ohio State gets the number 2 quarterback, the number 2 recruit, because Tavian Sanders on most people's boards is number 2 quarterback, number 2 recruit, and the number 1 tackle, and the number 6 recruit in the same class, that's crazy. Now, personally, I think they're gonna end up making Tavian number 1. Even though I personally prefer Keelan Russell over Tavian. I'm gonna keep saying it. I'm saying it in every video. I like Keelan Russell more than I like Bryce Underwood, and a little bit more than I like Tavian. I like him a lot more than I like Bryce Underwood, but I like him a little bit more than I like Tavian St. Clair. I think all 3 of these kids will be successful at the next level, but everybody can't be number 1. But if they can pull off Tavian St. Clair, and they got a gang of they got 2-3 DBs that's like Ohio State 2025 class is shaping up to be something insane, absolutely insane. If they can pull off Tavian St. Clair, David Sanders Jr., I think Naheem Alford, they got 10 kids in that class that I like. I really want to do my Ohio State breakdown, and that's coming soon. But I want to see these boys sign first, so at least I get 6 months before y'all hop into the portal or whatever. I can that video will have some staying power before y'all flip and all that and transfer out, but. Man, Ohio State, y'all irritating me now. I ain't gonna lie, y'all irritating me. You irritated your boy.
For sure.
If he stays home and you're able to continue having those conversations, then I think you start to maybe pick up a little bit of cautious optimism. So this is one of those that's going to be highly scrutinized over the next 7 days here, and we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, all eyes will be on David Sanders. I agree with what you're saying. I think this weekend will be very telling. And as always with David Sanders, the camp has everything locked down. We'll probably find out on Friday, or even, the Ohio State news broke when he was on campus. He was literally already on campus when Pete Nakos and Steve Wiltfong got the word. So, this is going to be a last minute thing, and all eyes will be on this recruitment. Now, Tennessee isn't just sitting back. They're also getting aggressive on the trail. Big flip on Monday of running back Dwayne Morris from USC. So, Matt, who are some of the big name Tennessee fans should be tracking as signing day is just 7 days away?
Well, it starts with Isaiah Campbell, right? And another guy, when you try to follow these visits and look at different things, Isaiah Campbell was at Tennessee earlier in the month for his official visit. Then he took his official visit to North Carolina, and it felt like the Tar Heels had grabbed some momentum, gave that family some reassurances, and he decided that he needed to make the trip back over from Durham, 5.5, 6 hours, whatever it is, to Knoxville.
Hold on, I gotta look at that play again. I ain't watched Isaiah Campbell tape yet. I need to.
His official visit to North Carolina, and it felt like the Tar Heels had grabbed some momentum, gave that family some reassurances, and he decided that he needed to make the trip back over from Durham, 5.5, 6 hours, whatever it is, to Knoxville for a 1 p.m. kickoff to try to get some more questions answered and see the Tennessee program one more time. Now, that visit I think went pretty.
I ain't gonna hold y'all. Just watching Isaiah Campbell's tape they playing on the screen right now. It's okay. It's solid. It's a solid tape. I don't know. I don't know which clips they using because I see the clips they using for David Sanders and he got better plays as well. So I'm gonna give Isaiah Campbell the benefit of the doubt. And I'm actually go watch his tape or another. I may make a whole video on it just so I can give him a fair assessment, a fair shot. But yeah.
Well for Tennessee, and talking to Isaiah Campbell and just kind of hearing him say that he felt like everything he asked.
Yeah, these tackles and tight ends you're going against, they ain't did. Them boys not good.
It was answered transparently and effectively. But now, since that visit's ended, Mack Brown no longer going to be retained as the head coach at North Carolina. What does that do in this process? Because, basically 2 weeks ago for Isaiah Campbell, he got some reassurances about the future of the program under Mack Brown. So I think for me, the football fit's always lined up at Tennessee. It's getting across some of these other hurdles academically, which he's had good conversation there, and then just getting him to leave home. I mean, he's 20 minutes away from campus in Chapel Hill, so that's kind of the final hurdle here for me with Tennessee. But we'll see where things go as Isaiah Campbell wants to make a very informed decision, and it's not going to be something that he just snap reacts and says, "Oh, Mack Brown's not at North Carolina anymore. I can't go there." He will hear everything out. He will hear every side of this, process until the end.
Okay.
And look, I will say this: with the transfer portal being what it is, with NIL being what it is, that decision you make out of high school is going to be the biggest one, because in most cases, 99% of the cases, you have your most value coming out of high school. Unless you absolutely hit as a college player, you will have your best value is going to be as a high schooler. I've seen plenty. I've personally helped kids get 30, 40, 50 offers. You know what I'm saying? But they go to college, they play a year or two, and if they decide to hop in the portal, they may not have 30, 40, 50 offers when they come back. So your value is at its highest. That's why I always encourage kids to make the best decision that you can make for yourself, because this is what colleges are doing. Colleges are making the best decision for themselves. Fortunately for some of you, a small percent of you, some colleges believe that you are the best decision for them. But on the flip side, those colleges may not be the best decision for you. So you need to make the best decision you can. Kids ask me all the time, where should I go? Who should I sign? And listen, man, I can't tell you where to go, because that's your first big boy decision. And it's even a bigger decision now, because guess what? There's so much money being tied into y'all now that, you got to make the best decision for you financially. From a location standpoint, does the school have your degree? What does life look like for you after football? Football will end at some point. I don't care how good you are. Football will end at some point. And in most cases, if you are fortunate enough to make it to the NFL, football will end for you around 30. Well, the average lifespan, like 3 years. But if you are fortunate enough to have a successful career at the NFL level, if people want to keep you around, you could probably play to about 35. But for the most part, the 35, football is done for most people. So you have to put yourself in the best position to be successful on the other side of 35, because football will end at some point. And unfortunately, nobody talks about this, but for 99% of all high school athletes, football will end for you after your senior year. And that's just what it is. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. How do you feel about David Sanders being flipped potentially to Ohio State? I don't like it. I don't like it. Ohio State don't need no more help. Ohio State's 2025 class is absolutely insane. They don't even have David Sanders listed on there yet. And if they flip him, boy, it's over. It's